But the guy that we're going to talk about tonight that all the headlines and the stories on is James Harden. James Harden was the sole survivor tonight for the Brooklyn Nets. No Kyrie because it's a home game. Kevin Durant is still nursing his injury, his knee injury. And we're hearing reports that James Harden is frustrated, doesn't like the living situation in Brooklyn. He prefers Central Houston. Of course he does. He was there for almost a decade. Of course he's not going to like Brooklyn. He's not from Brooklyn. He's not from this particular neck of the woods. It's different for him. I'm also hearing that the whole Kyrie Irving situation has bothered him a lot. I've got a little intel, shouts to my man Bishop, big-time Nets fan, that James Harden, after pretty much every interview or during every interview post-game, he always talks about that Kyrie needs to be there. Kyrie should be there full time. He makes a joke saying, hey, he'll go over there and give him the vaccination himself and, try to get this ball rolling because it's about winning a championship, right? But now I'm starting to look at things a little differently. I think that James Harden is looking at it like, man, I got to make sure everything is perfect. I got to make sure everything goes great because I ain't going to be here next year. I ain't going to be here next year. That's what I feel. I feel he's doing the Magic Johnson, I ain't going to be here face because all signs point to him leaving. He was offered a contract extension. He didn't sign it. We're starting to hear rumblings that he's not happy with the Brooklyn situation in regards to the living situation. The Kyrie Irving situation is getting a little hostile. And now we're starting to hear these little tidbits out of his camp saying that, James Harden may like to play in Philadelphia. Possibly. James Harden wants to test free agency. Is anybody shocked here? Because I'm not. I'm not at all. This is a guy that forced his way out of a good situation in Houston. They gave him everything that he wanted for 10 years or so. And they got close to winning a title. They did not. And even still, he still babied his way out of Houston. So do you think that he actually has any loyalty to the Brooklyn Nets? Absolutely not. James Harden is going to be able to move around. He's going to do whatever he wants to do because he's James Harden. And when you give power to certain athletes, they're going to abuse it. That's what they do. They continue to point the finger and pass the blame on to why things didn't work and why this is not that and blah, blah, blah. That's what he's doing. He's going to make it very uncomfortable for the Brooklyn Nets so they don't offer him a contract, and then he goes where he wants to go. He wants to be in Philly. Daryl Morey's there. I think Joel Embiid, that'll be a decent partnership between him and Harden. Harden hasn't really gotten along with big men, during his career. So we'll see what happens. If he wants to go there, fine. I'm sure Philly's going to embrace him with open arms, but buyer beware. It's just like Gremlins, right? Where guy brings home Gizmo and they say, listen, take care of him. He's a great pet, great friend, but don't feed him after 12. Don't do it. Don't feed him after 12. There's a reason why they gave that guy the disclaimer. Something goes wrong if you do so. So the disclaimer needs to be from every other team that's had James Harden. Hey, listen, as long as you give him what he wants, as long as you bend over backwards and then bend over again, he's fine. But the minute that things are not going the way he wants to, he's going to start to pass the buck. He's going to start to play the blame game of why things are not working the way they are. So just be careful. Don't push that button. Don't give him that particular type of power. Is Daryl Morey going to listen? I don't think so. Daryl Morey loves James Harden and vice versa. I'm sure it's a great pairing, but are they going to win? No. But the other question is, How desperate is your franchise to tie yourself to James Harden? I think Philly's pretty desperate. So, just like the Clippers, sorry to say, just like the Brooklyn Nets, who they don't have a history of winning, they went ahead and pulled the risk to go get James Harden. Is it working out? We'll see what happens after this year. We'll see what happens this year in the playoffs. And see if they can be able to get that championship, and then nothing matters. If James wants to leave, he leaves. They don't care. But if he doesn't deliver, if this trio doesn't deliver, how do you pick up the pieces as a franchise if you're the Nets? Now the Philadelphia 76ers will be the next landing spot possibly for James Harden. Maybe the camp is just kind of throwing that name out there. I'm sure that there's other teams, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. But just like 𝐦𝐤𝐬, you don't feed the beast. You just don't do it.